This is the People of Bartlett podcast. I'm Dustin with Bartlett Local. On episode 10, we have Dustin Smith of Smiths Plumbing. Dustin started out with limited resources and an old truck, but has grown into one of Bartlett's top plumbing service companies. Grab yourself a drink or maybe some coffee, and let's meet Dustin Smith. Alright, so I've got Dustin Smith of Smith Plumbing. Good afternoon, Dustin.
Hey, good afternoon.
So, Dustin, you've been with Smith Plumbing for, I guess, since its inception, right?
Yes, sir.
When did Smith Plumbing start?
We started in 2009.
And where are you guys located?
We're located at the corner of Highway 70 and 64 in Bartlett at 6843 Summer Avenue.
Is that, you're near the Yellow Liquor Store, aren't you?
Right next door. Everybody knows the Yellow Liquor Store.
Yes, we do. I'm a big fan of the Yellow Liquor Store.
Me too. A lot of great people there.
So, Dustin, who are you and what do you do? Did you grow up in Bartlett?
I did. Grew up in Bartlett. Originally was born in, my first house in Memphis was in Frazier, and then we moved from Frazier to Raleigh, and then from Raleigh to Bartlett when I was about 8 years old.
Okay. And you don't live in Bartlett now, right? But your
No,
business
currently
is
I'm a
located
Lakeland resident.
here. Okay. But your business is located here.
Yes, sir.
How many employees do you guys have?
We have 30 employees.
All right, that's outstanding.
It is pretty incredible.
So, with 30 employees, I guess your day to day is not spent with your arm in a toilet or something like that.
No, sir. My arms are out of toilets nowadays for the most part. Not saying I wouldn't be willing to do that if I needed to, but most of my day is spent marketing, working with management on making sure that our processes are taken care of and that all the employees are on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a business owner to me. So your connection to Bartlett is that your business has been your business is here. How long have you been there, Smith Plumbing?
So at that location, we've been there since 2016. Um, my stepfather was diagnosed with cancer and passed away back in 2018. Um, he actually owned that building prior to us moving there. So when he knew that he was going to have to sell his building, he reached out to me first. And I went ahead and just knew that it was a great location. And even though the building needed a lot of work, I knew that once we got it into the condition that I would want it to be in, it would be an awesome location for us.
Okay. That's pretty cool. It's a great location. Everybody knows where it is. I guess you go to most people though, but it's a good centralized location. What size service area?
We
What area do
service
you services?
we service Shelby County, Tipton, Fayette, and DeSoto.
Oh wow, so quite a long reach there.
Yes, sir.
And when did you get started in plumbing? What year was that?
Um, Now you're asking some questions there. 2003, I believe.
Okay, that was a long time
Um,
ago.
yes, sir.
It's a good time. Well, Bartlett's happy to have you. That we have a fantastic community here, and people like you make our community great.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Is there something you enjoy about Bartlett?
Yeah, I love the sense of community, the sense of pride. I feel like Bartlett government does a good job as far as keeping um, homes and businesses and a good, what am I trying to say here? They make sure that everything is taken care of. You don't see a lot of yards and things grown up. They make
Yeah.
sure that businesses abide by their codes and things like that. And so I do appreciate that. Sometimes it can be a little over the top, but I would rather it be over the top than to go through neighborhoods and see, grass 6 feet high.
Yeah. I understand that. Do you have any favorite restaurants in Bartlett?
I tell you what, it's a Mexican restaurant right close to our shop is Las Palmitas. I feel like they're very underrated. It's not the best looking building in the world, but the food is amazing. Uh, the owner there works with his daughter and a few of the family members all work together, so I think that's pretty cool. Also love Side Porch Steakhouse. You can always get a good steak there.
Oh yeah, Side Porch is popular.
hmm Um, and even like Fat Larry's, they've got good food. I like their plate lunches.
Yeah, Fat Larry's is popular too.
And one that's really helped me out recently is Wally Hatchett's.
Yeah.
Um, Tori Shoaf over there is a really great guy, veteran owned, so I like to support him where I can.
Very cool. What kind of future would you like to see in Bartlett? Is there changes you would like to see, or just have things stay the same?
Well, what I see is that everything is shifting east. So what you would typically have thought of as far as the central Bartlett, at least from when I was a kid, was closer down towards the railroad tracks, back in that area. And I feel like everything is shifting east. You got Chick-fil-A and all those different restaurants that have kind of been built up around there. I've heard that we've also got a Tops coming in, the old Sheridan's building. So I feel like that little area is where I would consider the heart of Bartlett now. I feel like it has shifted some from 15 to 20 years ago. I would like to see that area continue to grow. There's a lot of older strip malls that I would love to see renovated and brought up to date. That little area where I'm at the corner of 64 and Highway 70, I would love a lot of those areas to be reinvested in and brought back to life.
Okay, very cool. You've been in and out of Bartlett for most of your life, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
So, what's something you know about Bartlett that you don't think people realize? Something really amazing, or I guess not amazing, but something really interesting that you just wish people knew about Bartlett.
That's a good question. Um, I think just more of what I was talking about as far as the community sticking together. I do believe that a lot of people in Bartlett do lean on each other, and I know that I live in Lakeland now, and uh, at least the part of Lakeland that I'm in, I don't feel like the neighborhood gets together as often as you might see the community involvement in Bartlett.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I think you're maybe my 10th guess, and I would say 8 out of 10 guests have had the same answer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's something that Bartlett has done a great job in pushing as far as an agenda with the government and stuff, making sure that they know that Bartlett's safe. I think the response time of our police department in Bartlett is amazing. I do feel safe there. I think they do a good job with making sure that they patrol areas that they know are, I guess, more prone to having incidents and things like that. And again, Keith McDonald has been a mayor for a while now, and I think he has really done a great job in making sure that we maintain the type of community that we look for.
yeah. I think that is important. That not only has it met expectations, but it stayed there.
Absolutely, and what you see a lot, especially in big cities, is the heart of the city, which I guess in our case, the metropolitan area of Memphis, you slowly see crime and things work outward as the growth happens. Uh, and fortunately, I feel like Bartlett, as that growth has happened, and it's moved past Bartlett, it's gone to Lakeland, it's gone to Arlington, and things like that. They've continued to maintain a sense of integrity in how they want to run the city.
Yeah. So, switch gears a little bit. Plumbing isn't really the kind of thing most people think of when they start a business. Why did you Why did you start a business? That sounds kind of
Well,
sounds kind of crazy.
I started the business. Well, first of all, let me get into how I got into plumbing. I was going to school for finance. Worked at the Bank of Bartlett on Stage Road, the main office there. Realized banking wasn't what I was looking for. Ended up going into car sales due to a customer of the Bank of Bartlett's, Mr. Billy Smith, reached out to me to try to sell cars for him. I did not like that at all. I ended up selling a Volkswagen Beetle to a guy in Bartlett, actually, Mr. Glenn Herndon. Herndon Heating and Air was the company back then. Mr. Herndon actually let me get my feet wet in plumbing and HVAC. He was a smaller outfit, so the hours were not as consistent as I'd like. So I went to a bigger heating and air company, Choate's. The Choate family over there gave me an opportunity, which I greatly appreciate. I worked for them for about 6 years. The 6 year in business, I realized that, the 6 year I was with their business, I realized that I was obviously not a family member. I wasn't a member of the Choate family, so the likelihood of me being able to grow any further was going to be limited. So I decided the best bet would be for me to go out on my own. Went out on my own at the end of 2009 and literally started with a 1996 Ford Explorer that I had. It was my personal vehicle. I took the rear seats out of it. If I ever had to carry pipe, I would open the rear hatch. So you'd see me going down the road with 10 feet of pipe hanging out the back of my Ford Explorer. But I did what I could with what I had. And that's how I started. I was running service calls myself. What started our growth was I happened to meet a contractor. It was an older gentleman. He had a construction shirt on. I went up to him and handed him my business card. And he's like, we're actually renovating an apartment complex. If you're interested in bidding on it, I'd love to have you bid it. So I ended up going and looking at it with him. It was 104 apartments. I bid the job, and he awarded me 52 of them. At the time, it was myself. So quickly went out and got some employees and basically let them continue to work on that job while I ran service calls, and also went out and tried to solicit new business. And from there, we've basically grown. We're almost right at 30 employees and 16 trucks.
That sounds like a rough beginning, though, to be handed or to earn a large contract and you be the only employee. Was that difficult?
It was, but I'm an opportunist. I knew that I could handle it. I knew I had connections, and knew that if I was there to oversee the job, that it would get done.
Yeah. So, was that your moment where you felt that this is really going to work for you? That you kind of made it.
It was. It was definitely a blessing. I was already pretty busy with service calls, but you can only do so much as being one person. That's the one thing I've learned about growth in a business is you can only do so much yourself. You've got to be able to drop your guard and know that you've got great people on your team. And if you don't have great people on your team, you need to look at yourself as an owner or manager and ask yourself, why you're allowing someone subpar on your team. If you've got a certain goal that you're in mind and they're not reaching that goal.
At what point did At what point did you kind of realize that? I mean, have you had bad employees in the past?
Um, no, but I was a manager of a couple companies prior to that. Um, well, with Choates, and then when I was younger, I actually worked at the Bartlett Bowling Alley. I worked there for about 5 years. I was the manager of the pro shop over in Winchester Bowl, which was associated with Bartlett at the time. And I don't know. I just knew that being around people, you have certain people that are willing to work hard and appreciate the job that they have, and you've got other people that are, I like to call them takers. They take from people. They're not necessarily there for the good of all. They're there for themselves, and I've tried to, as we've grown, make sure that we get rid of those type people. I believe there are cancer within organizations when you have people that are like that, when they're all about themselves. And we at Smiths Plumbing, I don't believe are like that. We really do try to work as a team.
That's very cool. That's some great stuff, man.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations on what you've built.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And like I said, I only started the building process. I've got, you know, 30 other people that are continuing to build the name of Swiss Plumbing for me.
Yeah. You just kind of you're there to
It's,
take care of it.
yeah, to facilitate it and make sure it's keep running. And I've got great management. I've got three really great managers, one really great GM, and again, I don't want to micromanage people. I've got people on my team that I know are good at what they do, and I try to allow them to hone in on their skills while I work on the ones that I know I'm good at, which I feel like is marketing. You know,
Yeah.
um, I think a lot of business owners get caught up in the day to day and don't ever get outside of that day to day stuff, and they don't see their imperfections or flaws that they maybe need to correct, because not because they're not paying attention, just because they're overwhelmed with their duties as an owner.
Yeah,
And
they're so busy doing the work that they can't see that the work is getting done.
exactly. And so with me having a few good managers underneath me, it allows me to step outside and see it from both an employee's perspective and a customer's perspective.
Okay. That's really cool. That's smart stuff, man. I'm sure you're going to go far.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. To continue the success, I mean, I would like to know, and the great thing is, as we've grown, we've got employees that have been with me since day one. Is just seeing the family within the family grow, so to speak. Getting to see the guy that started with me when he was in his mid 20s and now he's in his 30s with kids and a new house or a car that he always wanted. It's awesome to see people grow with the company.
Yeah, that's neat. Now, you haven't listened to our podcast before, have you?
No, and I apologize for that. I have not.
No, it's okay. So we do a round of quick fire questions. Are you familiar with how those work?
No, but if you want to go ahead and explain it to me, that'd be great.
Well, for you and the people at home listening, it's basically a kind of a dumb question to kind of get a quick response and learn a little bit about you.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Um, all right, let's get going. Quick fire question number one. What's one thing you've always wanted to do?
Skydive, but I've been too chicken.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning for sure.
How do you hope people describe you when you're not around?
Funny, somebody that has a caring personality about myself. That I want to take care of people. Uh, as I mentioned, I think there are givers and there's takers in the world. I feel like I'm a giver for the most part. Um, I'd like to know that people feel that way, and that people know that I have good, even if I'm not perfect every day. I have good in mind and in my intentions, even if I mess up.
Okay. What's the first thing you grab in the morning?
Um, Water and a coffee.
Water and coffee. iPhone or Android?
iPhone. I'm terrible with electronics, and they're easy to use for me.
Um, are you impulsive or methodical?
Uh, I think I've got a pretty good mix, to be honest. I know some of my personal decisions are kind of sporadic, uh, but with the business, I've always tried to have a methodical way about me as far as growth.
What's your favorite food?
That's a toss up. Either steak or Mexican. I could eat Mexican just about every other day.
Yeah, me too. What's a personality trait you have no time for?
Um, Liars, thieves. I can't handle either one of those.
Where do you want to go to more than anywhere else in the world?
Mm. Um, Not a place particularly, but either Europe or somewhere in Europe or Italy or something like that, to where I could see some things that are way older than anything we have here in the United States. I actually have not traveled a whole lot. The downside to growing a business young is that a lot of my time was spent working.
Yeah.
I actually personally have not traveled a whole lot. I've only been out of the country 2 times. Uh, as far as the United States is concerned, I've actually really only seen most of the Southeast, and I've been to California a couple times. Other than that, I'm really kind of clueless.
Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Hmm. Movie of my life. Um, Man, that's a hard question. And I'm not a movie person either, by the way, so I'm not good with actors and actors. So, hmm. Uh, I'm kind of goofy, so maybe Mike Myers.
Okay.
I'm kind of goofy. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Maybe somebody like him, somebody that's funny.
All right.
Uh,
That's a cool answer.
yeah.
Um, what chore do you hate doing?
mm, Dusting. As far as anything, as far as home repairs, I hate painting. I, I, I I don't have the attention span to paint.
And last question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
Uh, I'll give myself a 6 or a 7.
Very cool. 6 or 7. Not a 10?
I Maybe when I was a little younger, I was a little more arrogant back then. But as I get older, I get humbled. So I'm going to give myself a 6 or a 7.
And Dustin, do you have any questions or comments for the audience or the show?
J- just, well, a couple things. First, don't ever think because of where you started, that's where you're going to finish. Uh, as I stated earlier, I mean, my mom raised 3 children on her own. She's a school teacher, did not grow up from any type of money. My business was started by myself. Uh, so nothing was handed to me. So don't believe that you have to get something handed to you, or because you started behind someone else that you can't get out in front of them. It's just a matter of consistency and integrity, I believe. Um, and then do what you're passionate about. I will say that initially I was passionate about plumbing just because it was something new to me. I was not very hands-on growing up. So I was super passionate. I wanted to learn everything about plumbing that I could. But as I grew and the business grew, I went more towards the marketing thing. That's what I really loved. And I really think, besides having great people around me, the marketing piece is what sets us apart from a lot of other plumbing companies.
All right. And Dustin, if people want to learn more about your business, where can they go to find out?
They can go to our Smiths Plumbing Facebook page. They can also go to our website, which is smithsplumbingservice.com. Also, if you Google Plumber Memphis, we are going to come up in the main results. Right now, we have the most Google reviews for a local plumbing company with a 5-star average. So not only do we have the most, but we also have a 5-star average, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah, I bet you are. That's really hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dustin, thanks for coming out. We'll put your website and everything in the show notes so everyone can see it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me, and I'm going to actually go back. I'm going to listen to a few of your podcasts. I appreciate the support and glad to see that you're promoting local business owners and people in the community.
Well, thanks for everything and thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.